What's up, YouTube? It's JackalGoldKick, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing Eminem's new album that dropped today called The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. So I listened to the album more than once today, and I'm going to give my opinion on it, my review of it, what I think of it. Now, before this review even gets started, I want to say that I am a fan of Eminem. He'll always be one of the best rappers of all time. He'll always be in my top 10, and he will always be a legend. Nothing will ever change that and his impact on hip hop. And I'll give it to him. He's one of the few music artists that every time he drops a project, he's just one of those artists you got to stop everything you're doing and you got to go listen to his new project. He's one of those. Now, when it comes to this album, I want to say right off the bat, I was not a fan of this album. Much like Eminem's past few albums, I didn't like this one either. Didn't care much for this album, and I don't think it was really that good of an Eminem album at all. The album is like a basically the death of Slim Shady. There's a mixture of, I think, AI in there. We hear AI Eminem. We hear his old voice at times. I think the features on here, besides like Bizarre and Easy Mill and Skylar Grey, is just okay. I think the features are pretty poor. I mean, this album is called The Death of Slim Shady, but we don't have a Dr. Dre feature. We don't have a 50 Cent feature. And I feel like, when I think of Slim Shady, when I think of those old days, 50 Cent and Dr. Dre are a huge part of those days. And the fact that they're not on this album is odd to me. It's weird that 50 Cent hasn't really appeared in any Eminem album in a very long time. But the album also had just repetitive topics and repetitive subject matter. Like, all he really talked about was being controversial, shocking, trying to offend people, rapping about the haters, rapping about the critics, and then some songs about his daughter. It's like we've heard these before, and it was just repetitive subject matter because almost every song on this album is about shock value. It's about being controversial. That's what it pretty much is. Didn't enjoy this album. We'll go through the tracks now. So the first song is called Renaissance. Now I like that we hear the old Eminem voice on there. It sounds like it's from the Encore era. So this could be like an Encore leftover or something like that. I don't think it's AI. And it has good lyrics on it and it's a controversy type song. But I wasn't a fan of the beat on this track. The beat was very lacking, very lackluster. It's going to be a common issue I have with a lot of the other songs on this album is the production. So I feel like the beat on that song was very lacking and yeah, wasn't a fan of Renaissance besides the lyrics and hearing Eminem's voice. I think the beat on that track could have been a lot better. The second song is called Habits featuring White Gold, who is on another song on this album. Was not a fan of this song, didn't like it. I think the beat sucked, hated the production on it. It was a trap type beat. Um, Eminem sounded bored on this song. Hearing him rap, he just sounded bored. He didn't sound energetic. It didn't sound like he had any passion behind what he was saying at all. And it was just, once again, another song with controversy lyrics and talking about critics. So it's pretty much like the same subject matter as the first song. The chorus is terrible on this song. I do not like White Gold as a singer. This just feels like something you would hear on the mainstream radio, something you would hear mumble rappers do, trap rappers do, and it just doesn't really fit Eminem, you know? I remember a time when Eminem made his music and when he was doing songs, he wasn't trying to make his stuff sound like what's on the radio. He would stay true to himself. Back in the day, the 2000s era of Eminem, he wasn't trying to make music like Lil Wayne or, Master P. He was doing his own shit. It's like, why can't he do that now? He's trying to make songs and styles like the trap rappers and the new cool hip hop. So, was not a fan of Habits. Subject matter, it's the same as the first one. So, yeah, I was not a fan of that song at all. Didn't care for it. The third song on the album is called Trouble. Now, I like the beat on here and the voice mix that M has with some of the old and new voices, but and then the subject matter is like Eminem fight with himself, but I didn't really care for it that much. It's basically just like a 40-second kind of song, and the beat's somewhat cool, but it just didn't do much for me. Too short. I think it's just like a prelude to the later song, Guilty Conscience 2, I believe. So, yeah, there's really not much to the song Trouble. It felt more like maybe a skit or an interlude or something. I mean, like I said, it had a good beat and it had a good mixture of old and new M's voice, but that's really about it. So yeah, I didn't care much for that one. The fourth song is called Brand New Dance. Now, this is an interesting one because this sounds like a song that was meant for Encore. I'm pretty sure this is the Christopher Reeve song that was supposed to be on the album Encore. And I like the Eminem era voice. I like the rapping and lyrics, and I like the chorus. And it's cool to get an encore leftover, but I can't say I'm a fan of this song. Why? Because of the production. I think the production is really bad on this song. I do not like the beat at all. I think the production's pretty poor in this track. It's just not a good beat. And yeah, I don't like the beat of the song at all. Not a fan of the production. Really don't like the beat on there. Um, the only thing it has going for it is that it's a encore leftover, and it's cool to hear it because it's old Eminem, but not a fan of the beat. So yeah, I wasn't really a fan of that one. So the next song on the album is called Evil. The song is just called Evil. Now, this is like a mix of old and new Eminem voice AI, something he's doing a lot in this album. But I think I would just rather hear old M or hear something in effect the way he did on Caterpillar because the mixture of the new and old M voice doesn't really work in my opinion because I'm not really a fan of Eminem's new voice, but I do like Eminem's old voice. So the mixture just doesn't work. I like the chorus on this song. I will give it that. This has one of the better choruses on the album. I think Evil has a great chorus, but I'm just not really a fan of the song. I think the beat could have been better, and the rapping is just eh. You know, it's just a song about Eminem being crazy and controversial and shock value subject matter. So once again, pretty much like the same subject matter as the past few songs. So yeah, I was not a fan of the song Evil at all, honestly. So didn't care for that one. Had good lyrics, I suppose, but the sixth track is a skit called All You Got. It's okay. It's just Eminem basically talking to Shady. It's alright skit. The seventh song is called Lucifer. Now I think if I had to pick, this is one of the better cuts on the album, better songs, because I do think Lucifer has the best beat on the album. It's the best production. I do like the rapping, I suppose, and I like the part about Candace Owens. I think that was pretty cool. It's like an evil topic in terms of the subject matter, but the only issue with the song is the chorus. I hated the chorus. I thought the chorus was bad. Did not like the chorus at all. I think the chorus could have been a lot better, but Eminem had good rapping, he had good lyrics. Like I said, I like the part about Candace Owens, and I think the production is solid. It's one of the better beats on the album. Beats pretty good. Whoever produced this song, I wish they produced more of the songs on this album because it's one of the better beats. So I think it's an all right song. Is it going to be one I go back to? Probably not, but it's one of the better cuts on this album, to be fair. The eighth track on the album is called Antichrist. Now, I'm not a fan of the song because of the rap style. Eminem's new voice just isn't appealing on this track. I like the intro because we hear old Eminem, and the chorus on this song is really good as well. And I like the mention of the Diddy and Cassie thing where he talked about what was going on with them, the footage we saw. But and like I like the chorus because it's old Eminem, but I wish the verses on the song could have been that voice he had in the chorus instead of just the new Eminem voice. Because much like this song and the others, he just doesn't sound that enthused and passionate. He just sounds bored, honestly. And one of the issues I have with this song and a lot of the other songs in this album is I don't feel anything from this album. I listen to this album, I listen to the songs, I don't feel anything from it. It doesn't make me feel anything. Music's supposed to make you feel something, and I felt nothing for the most part when listening to this album. Now, the best thing about Antichrist is the chorus and Bizarre's part. Bizarre is a really good part in the song. He actually is a better part of the song than Eminem is himself. I like Bizarre's part in the song. I like the beat change up. Bizarre flows on the beat well. I like his rap style on there. He has some shocking lyrics. He's pretty good on the song. I think his part should have been longer or it should have been his own song. And I think the rest of Eminem's verses should have just been his voice from the chorus. I don't know if this is an unreleased song from that era, but if it is, and if there was original verses that he changed out, he should have kept those ones in. So that's what I think of the song Antichrist. The beat was just to be honest. The next track is called Fuel with JID. Wasn't a fan of this song. JID, I guess he's good at rapping, but he didn't really impress me all that much. He's definitely not someone I'd be checking for or listening to. He kind of reminds me like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, those kind of rappers. Not my kind of rap, so I probably wouldn't even check out the JID stuff. I mean, he's good at rapping on the song, but not somebody I'd listen to, not somebody I'd, really be into. And yeah, I don't like Eminem's rapping on the song. Wasn't into it, wasn't feeling it, wasn't appealed by it. Um, song's basically about just rapping and being crazy, that kind of thing, and you have a DJ Paul reference, which is cool. I like the yow, what is it, the yow sound effect you hear here and there in the beat, but overall was not a fan of the song Fuel. Didn't like the production, didn't care for Eminem's rapping on there. GID was good at rapping, but not my cup of tea as a rapper. Wasn't a fan of the chorus. Just not a song I care for overall, honestly. The next track on the album is called Road Rage, which features Sly Piper, who is an alright singer, but I didn't care for him much on this one, to be honest. Not a fan of the song or the beat of the chorus. Didn't really care for Eminem's rapping on this. The song just didn't really do anything for me. It's a very forgettable Eminem song, much like a lot of the other songs in this album, to be honest. Now, what I will say, the best part of this song, the thing I like the most about this track, I did like Eminem's part where he talks about, fat people and you should lose your weight and stuff like that. I thought that was interesting. I did like that. It felt like, something else for him to talk about on this album, like a refreshing topic. I did like it. But other than that, I was not a fan of the song. Didn't care for the beat. Didn't care for Sly Piper in the chorus. Didn't care for Eminem's rapping. Just a forgettable song. Like I have no desire to go back to this, much like the other songs on this album. So, and with a song titled like Road Rage, it sure don't feel like a rage type song, in my opinion. The 11th song is called Houdini. Now, I did a reaction to this song, and I thought it was a alright, good song. But as time has sat with it, and I've listened to it again, checking this album out, I think Houdini is just an okay song. I still think it's just an okay Eminem song. I don't think it's a classic song. I don't think it's a song I'm gonna go back to time and time again, and I want to keep hearing over and over again. But it's an okay song. It's got good production for the most part. Has a good chorus. I like the sample of Abracadabra by Steve Miller Band. It's like a, controversial shock value subject matter song, and I do like the song, I suppose. I guess, you know, this and Lucifer are some of the only decent cuts on the album, I would say. So I don't mind Houdini, but it's not a song I'm gonna go back to. This isn't a song I'll ever really go back to like that, to be honest with you. It's lacking something. And Eminem, even on this song, he doesn't sound super enthused or like into it. He doesn't sound passionate in this song, to be honest with you. So yeah, so I think of Houdini. Not a classic song, but it's okay. The part where Eminem's trying to sing is pretty bad, though. I don't know why he did that. The next track is Breaking News Skit, and I thought this was a good skit. I think it's one of the best skits on the album. It's basically like a news TV station saying that Eminem's doing this. He's being offensive. Eminem's kind of talking, and I think it's a pretty good skit. I like it a lot. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the intro skit on Careful What You Wish For, but more of in like a old school shady horrorcore sense. So I like this one. It leads into the next track, Guilty Conscience 2, which doesn't hold a candle to the original Guilty Conscience and doesn't really feel like a proper sequel to Guilty Conscience because, first of all, Dr. Dre's not even on the song. It's like, so you're going to do a sequel to Guilty Conscience, but Dr. Dre's not on the sequel? Makes no sense to me. Bad song, in my opinion. Not a good sequel to Guilty Conscience. There's no storytelling response like the first one. The first Guilty Conscience, what really worked well was not only Dr. Dre and Eminem's chemistry, but them responding to certain things happening of certain people, someone getting cheated on, how they should approach it. Dr. Dre's the good voice, Eminem's the bad voice. It was really cool. It's not really like that with Guilty Conscience 2. It's more of just Eminem going back and forth with his Slim Shady self. It's not really the same as Guilty Conscience 1. The beat sucks. It's just him about his status, being offensive, being shocking. I think the beat at times was okay to be fair, but overall wasn't a fan of the beat. So Guilty Conscience 2, the only thing about this song that's similar to the first one is its name only. The song itself feels nothing like Guilty Conscience. And I thought this was a poor sequel. No Dr. Dre either, so you can't even have that. 14th track is called Head Honcho with Easy Mill. Now, I haven't talked about Easy Mill on my channel yet, specifically. I think Easy Mill, from what I can hear in his music, I don't think he's an artist I would really be into and listen to be honest, but he does seem talented. And, I guess I would check out his album, whatever he does plan to do on this label, because he's signed to Shady Records and Aftermath. But this song I was not a fan of. I thought it was weird how Easy Mill in the beginning of the song was rapping in a different language. I didn't really care for that much, and the chorus is decent. It's okay. Easy Mill does an okay job in the chorus. Wasn't really a fan of the beat. Wasn't really a fan of M's part in the song. Wasn't really into it. I just think. Song was just basically about being a head honcho and flexing type thing, and just them just rapping. That's really all it was. It's not a song I'd go back to, so I was not a fan of Head Honcho with Easy Mill. Easy Mill in the song raps fine, but again, I don't know if he's really an artist I would be into it. I know that's the thing with these features like JID and Easy Mill, and White Gold. These aren't features for me that I said and be like, oh shit, this guy is amazing. I want to go check out his stuff. It's just like, like I would have rather had Dr. Dre and 50 Cent on here, or Hobson even. But wasn't a fan of Head Honcho. 15th song is called Temporary with Skylar Grey. Now, I like the subject matter of this song. Eminem making a letter to his daughter about, basically when I die and, that type of stuff. It's a good emotional rap song. I like the clips of Eminem talking to his daughter that you hear, but I didn't like this song. I think Eminem's made better songs about his daughter, like When I'm Gone and Castle and a Rose. Skylar Grey on the song is just kind of an okay singer, but she's on the song way too much. You almost hear her more than you hear Eminem, which is insane. And Eminem on the song, he's okay on it, but it just kind of feels like more of like a piano, or it's just not really like a put together beat. I don't know. It's just that one just didn't work for me, man. Like I just didn't care much for Temporary. I really didn't. It's not what I'm gonna going back to. I think Eminem's done this better, and it's kind of repetitive subject matter because Eminem's already did songs about his daughter in this element, like Mockingbird, When I'm Gone, and Castle and a Rose, but done better in some of those songs. Next, so yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one. Didn't care for the beat. Next track on the album, and I think this is one of the worst songs on the album. Bad One featuring White Gold. Not a fan of this song. It's got a terrible chorus from White Gold. Hate how White Gold sounds in here. It's that trappy mainstream mumble rap bullshit. Not feeling the rapping on it. It's just a flexing type song. Didn't care for that song at all. Just felt like some kind of club mainstream mumble rap record that Eminem is trying to do, and it just doesn't work. This doesn't fit Eminem. This is not Eminem, you know. This isn't his style. Like it's just very it doesn't work. It really doesn't. So I was not a fan of that song. Um, Next track is called Toby featuring Babytron Big Sean. I didn't even check out the music video for this song because when this song came out, I didn't give a shit about it. Didn't care for it. I listened to it, don't like it. Don't care for Babytron. Don't like his voice. Big Sean is alright on the song, but I'm not really a big fan of Big Sean. The only song I like from him is Too Fake with Shitty Bang. Eminem, I didn't care for him in the song. He just sounded pretty bored on the track, had no passion. The beat had really no drop to it. Didn't care for the production. Song's basically saying I was, Toby was bit by a spider, but I was bit by a goat. That's basically all it is. I think I would have rather heard Toby Maguire rap on this song. I think that would have been more interesting than the song itself. I didn't even check the music video out because I just didn't care, and now I'm getting to a point where I'm not gonna want to care as much about Eminem's new stuff, which I'm gonna get to. So I didn't care for Toby. Got nothing from it, felt nothing from it, had no substance. Like, what's really to get from this song besides the Toby reference and then just rapping? That's basically all it is. The 18th track is Guess Who's Back skit. This is an awesome skit. Love this one a lot. It's basically Eminem bringing back the Ken Kniff character, and I was glad to see that. It was a pretty funny skit. I liked it. This is a great skit. I think this is one of the better moments and better parts of the album. So I do like the Guess Who's Back skit. It's really cool. And then the 19th track, which is the last song before we get into the bonus tracks, is called Somebody Save Me. Now, aside from aside from the chorus, which I don't like, this is one of the better cuts on the album, but it's not a song I'm going to go back to. It has good rapping. It's basically him, another song for his daughter, him touching on his pill addiction and his old days of that and having some regrets. And, it's an emotional song about his daughter and other people in his family. So I like the subject matter. I like that it's an emotional type rap song. I like that approach. And I like the production and I like the rapping from Eminem. I like the lyrics. I just think the chorus is not good. I don't like the blues type chorus. It just doesn't work for me. So, yeah, I think, next to Lucifer and Houdini, this is one of the better cuts in the album. But is it a song I'm going to go back to? To be honest, I don't think I will. So that's what I think of that one. And then the bonus songs. Kyrie and Luca feat. 2 Chains, awful song. Don't care for the beat. 2 Chains. Why is Eminem working with 2 Chains again? 2 Chains is fucking garbage. I ranted on him back in the day. He sucks. Didn't care for his rapping on the song. Didn't care for Eminem's rapping on the song. Wasn't really into it. Not a fan of that track. And then the other bonus song. And I think this is the worst song on the album. I think this is one of the worst songs Eminem's ever made. It's called Like My Shit. Awful song. Terrible beat, terrible chorus. Subject matter is just about haters and critics that we've heard before. That song is terrible. I don't know who's featured on it, but they do a terrible job in the chorus. Terrible trap beat. That song sucks. So those are all the songs on this album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. Overall, I did not like this new Eminem album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. I was pretty disappointed. Just didn't care for the album. I really didn't. Like when I go through my notes and look at all of the songs, the only positives I can give you is you get elements of Eminem's older voice. You get good rapping from Eminem in terms of lyrics, I suppose, but a lot of times his rap style just isn't appealing because he sounds bored and he doesn't sound into it. Brand New Dance, the positive to that is you get old in, but that's about it. And the chorus on there is good. Evil has a good chorus, but that's about it. Lucifer, one of the only decent songs on the album's got a great beat. You know, Fuel didn't like it. Road Rage didn't like it. Houdini's okay. Didn't Breaking News was cool. Guilty Conscience 2 I didn't like. Head Honcho at Easy Mill. Not gonna go back to that one. Temporary with Skylar Grey. I've heard Eminem do this better about his daughter songs. Skylar Grey was on it too much. Bad One sucked. Toby sucked. Guess Who's Back was cool. Somebody Save Me. Not like I don't like the chorus, but I like the rapping. You know, it's just there are some positives. You know, like I said, if I had to pick the best songs on the album, if I had to pick, it would be uh, Lucifer because of the production and rapping, Houdini, and um, where is it? Somebody Save Me. So three songs out of 19 plus the bonus tracks. You know, so only really like three songs that I could say were decent. But even these songs, like Lucifer and Somebody Save Me and Houdini, I don't see myself going back to these songs. I don't think these are songs I'm gonna go back to like at all really. But if I had to pick, they're the best cuts of the album. And then I think the part with Bizarre and Antichrist was also a good part of the album, and I like the skits, especially the Ken Kneff skit. But other than that, I really did not enjoy this album from Eminem. I thought this was a bad album by Eminem, The Death of Slim Shady Coup de Grace, because most of the beats on here I didn't care for. Wasn't really feeling the album at all when I was listening to it. I felt nothing from it. It did nothing for me. I didn't care for Eminem's rap style on most of the songs. The subject matter is very repetitive on this album. It's just him over and over again talking about being shocking and being controversial and rapping about the haters and rapping about the critics. Songs about his daughter that we've seen before. I don't really like the features all that much on the album. GID and Easy Mill and Bizarre are probably the best features, but JID and Easy Mill are not artists that I fiend to want to go check out after hearing them on this album. Bizarre is probably the best feature because he's actually good and you know he's got some elements of the past with Eminem. But White Gold was a bad feature. He's a terrible singer. I don't know why Eminem worked with him. Two Chains, terrible feature. The guy in Like My Shit was awful. So yeah, I just didn't care for this album. To me, this is a forgettable Eminem album. And I guess one of the only other positives is Eminem is playing around with his old voice, whether that be AI or him using like old versions of songs. That was interesting. But other than that, I just didn't care for this album overall. I heard it two times, and that's really all I need to hear it. Didn't really enjoy this album. So yeah, and it's like, you know, with Eminem, it's like I know he can do better than this, you know, because Slim Shady, for me, Eminem's best albums, best work is from Slim Shady EP to Hell the Sequel. I like some of the stuff he did after, like The Monster and Survival and Guts Over Fear, but I would say 2013 to now is when Eminem just started to fall short for me. And I dislike most of what he puts out. Just most of his new music, especially this album, I get nothing from it. There's no substance. I don't feel anything from it, you know? There wasn't one song on the album and there wasn't one moment on this album where I was really like, "Oh man, this is amazing." Like, "Yeah, this is great." Like, I never got those feelings. Didn't like this album. And it leads me to the next thing I want to talk about is that I think I'm just like stop caring about Eminem's new music. Like from now on, if Eminem puts out new music or puts out a new album, I'm just not gonna care as much or even put much effort in wanting to check it out. You know, because I feel like those wrestling fans that keep watching wrestling hoping it gets better and it doesn't. I feel like I'm still trying to watch The Walking Dead hoping it gets better when it doesn't. It's like why do I want to keep tuning into Eminem's new music when I've constantly been let down? didn't like Revival, didn't like Kamikaze, didn't like Music to Be Murdered By or Music to Be Murdered By Side B or any of the various features he's doing in this era, Eminem's Eminem's last truly good, outstanding song that I could say has replay value, that I could say is a classic, is Caterpillar of Royce to 5'9". I think that's his best modern song, and I think that's his best last new song. And the thing is, I liked new Eminem on that song. The way Eminem rapped on Caterpillar was awesome. It's like the way Eminem sounds on Caterpillar, he sounds like he's into it. He sounds passionate. It sounds like it flows with the beat. I get something from it. The way Eminem approached Caterpillar, I wish that's how he would rap on all this other new music he does. And I wish it's how he would have rapped on The Death of Slim Shady, because all you get is throwbacks of old M's voice, and you get Eminem just sounding bored. He doesn't sound all that enthused on this album in a lot of songs. And it's just a nostalgia thing. It's like, oh, here's nostalgia, Slim Shady, here's this and that. Do you remember this and that? And some of the references in this album just feel outdated. Like he's talking about Caitlyn Jenner in the album. It's like Eminem was hella late on Caitlyn Jenner. That shit happened like years ago when Bruce Jenner got a sex change. That was like years ago. Eminem's quite late on that, if you ask me. Outdated reference, to be honest. So yeah, overall, I was not a fan of Eminem's album, The Death of Slim Shady Coup de Grace. Didn't care for it. Lucifer and Houdini and Somebody Save Me and some of the skits and Bizarre's part on Antichrist, those are some of the only all right parts. But for the most part, there wasn't really many songs I liked off this album. Ones that I would go back to, ones that I would keep re-listening to. Even the ones I said were decent, I don't even think I'd go back to that ones. This album as a whole, I just think wasn't good. From the beats to Eminem's rapping style to the repetitive, boring subject matter to Eminem sounding bored to some of the lame features like White Gold and that guy and Like My Shit and Two Chains and people I don't really care for like JID, Easy Mill just being okay, Bizarre not being on the song enough, and Skylar Grey being on the feature too long. I think the features could have been a lot more interesting. 50 Cent should have been in this. 50 Cent should have been on this album. Dr. Dre should have been on this album. People like Hobson should have been on this album. As it stands, I wasn't a fan of this album, and that's my honest feelings. I listened to it all the way through when I woke up, and I was like, man, I'm just not feeling this album. And I'll listen to it again, same feeling. Just didn't feel anything from it. This album's gonna have no replay value. It's gonna have no substance. It's gonna be another Eminem album. I look back on and be like, I don't like this one. And Eminem's trying to go back to his old days with this album. He's trying to bring the Slim Shady thing back. He's trying to be like what he once was, but it just doesn't work because he's way older now. It's years later. It just isn't the same. This isn't the same Eminem we know and love, especially if he's trying to tap into that Slim Shady thing. Um, and it's like, with Eminem, like, what would I want from him in terms of new music to be good? Something like Caterpillar, where he sounds like he's into it, or something new where he has passion and, not a bad rendition of his past either. Like, I think him trying to go back, he's done this before. With Marshall Mathers LP 2, he tried to go back to the past and do a sequel to the first Marshall Mathers LP, and I don't think that was a good sequel. So him going back to the past once again still doesn't work. I think Eminem needs to I don't know what Eminem needs to do to improve his music, but I think he needs to have someone next to him or a team that can be honest and tell him this is good, this isn't good. Maybe he should travel the world if that's possible, get some new ideas for his music, come up with some new subject matter, think of some new ideas, and just do something really dope and be passionate about it and be himself. Don't try to constantly go back to the past when it doesn't work. Don't try to have no passion in rapping. Don't try to make music that's hip and cool with these new guys and you know, be trying to make mainstream trap mumble rap type stuff, you know? I mean, at the end of the day, that's all I gotta say in this album review. Let me know what you thought of this album. Um, you know, I'll never, I'm not no Eminem hater. I'm a fan of his music. I think he's a great rapper, always be a legend. But I'm honest like this because I care and because, as a fan of Eminem, I'm going to be honest and I know we can do better. Every artist makes good and bad art at the end of the day, but Eminem's just been in a consistently bad track record, and that's why there's other artists for me that have passed Eminem in my top 10 because I think there's other people that have made better music. I think there's other people like JB and Dennis that did the Eminem style better later on, if that makes sense. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of this album, won't be going back to it, and I'm going to probably try to stop caring about his new stuff. But that's it for my review.